Hi everybody, it's Karen Money Williams here with another edition of Poupée Theater, where the poupée, or puppets as we call them in America, but of course it's poupée in French, I think. It sounds very continental, don't you think? Well, anyway, the poupée have questions about law of attraction, and I do my darndest to try to answer them. Today in our studio we have Allie Gator, one of our very favorite friends. She lives out in the retention pond out behind our house, and I see her out there swimming around quite a bit and having quite the time of it. And she's really been trying to apply law of attraction, but she has a concern, so I think we're going to get right down to brass tacks and see what Allie has on her mind. Allie, tell me, what is it that you're concerned about today?
Well, I'm concerned about my daughter.
Oh, your daughter. I'd forgotten you had a daughter.
Of course I got a daughter. She's out there in the retention pond.
Oh, yeah, of course. I did see her the other day. She was out there playing with the birds, or actually trying to eat some of the birds, but I think they got away from her. I was kind of cheering for the birds, if you don't mind my saying so.
Well, never mind that. I have a question.
Okay, what is your question, Allie?
I'm worried about her schooling.
Her schooling? You mean like her education?
Of course it ain't her education. What is education? It's schooling, and schooling is education.
I get you. Okay. You know, I can't believe you're asking that question, because as synchronicity would have it, just today I was listening to an older Abraham-Hicks cassette tape from the year 2000, way back when you were just a teensy tiny little thing, I reckon. And they were talking about that very thing. A mother had a concern about her daughter's education.
Well, lo and behold.
Yeah. So let's just proceed, and you know what? Together, let's listen to that, and I think you're going to find it extremely enlightening. You know what I mean?
Of course I do know what you mean. I'm pretty enlightened already. Bring it on.
Okay. Okay, Allie. You're a little crusty, but I can understand. Lying out there in the sun all day in Florida would do that to you. Okay, so here we go. This is from San Antonio, Texas, April 15th of the year 2000. And let's hear what this mom, such as yourself, has to ask Abraham. Of course, it's Abraham. It's not howdy doody. Okay, now let's see.
Yes. I got two different areas. One is dealing with my daughter's education. We moved to the area where there aren't good schools. So to get her a quality education, we put her into a church school, which I have a real hard time with religious organizations. So how do I keep my beliefs from affecting her on the religious beliefs, and then when she comes home and states stuff to me that I just don't go berserk and affect her?
Like what?
Well, like she'll say, oh, she'll come in and say, God is my Savior, He's still creating me, we're still, He hasn't finished with me yet. And I go, but you have to listen to your inner being. She knows about that. I don't know how to not overreact and get on the right end of the stick to go back to my thought of I got her there for the education.
Well, do you disagree with what she's saying?
No, I don't disagree with it so much. I guess I just disagree in the way that it's presented in the church organization. That like she is brought to, she's come forth sinned, which she hasn't, and that she must then make herself, well, I don't know how to say it exactly. But that she didn't come forth, in my opinion, as a sin. She's a very wonderful, sweet, gorgeous child. She has done nothing wrong.
When you say you are wanting her to have a quality education, what do you mean?
I just want her to have good teachers, good chances. She started out in a Montessori school. She's very bright. I want people there to make her, help her want to learn and find her way through her life and through education.
What made you say that there are not good schools in the area?
Well, the area we live, all the test scores are very low. There's a lot of crime. There's gangs that I just don't really want her around, which therefore is another way of my controlling her environment, I realize.
You see what's happening, we want to sort of give you an overview of what's happening here, because what's happening is you've looked out at manifestations and you've said, this is a crime-ridden school, or this is a school that has a mix of things that I want and a mix of things that I don't want. And then you're trying to make a decision from the outside in about what to do. And what we're wanting, when you said, I'm wanting her to have a quality education, we wanted to say to you that she will have whatever she vibrationally attracts. Now we know that what you're getting at is you want her to be in an environment that is conducive to the attraction of things that would be pleasing. Well, but that isn't really what you said, and that is not what your actions impart either, because your actions are saying, I think that she is like most of us. She's a responder to the environment around her. And so I'm wanting to do my best to control the environment around her so that she will have the best opportunity. And we say, we are really glad that you weren't there when she made her decision to come forth into physical experience, or she would not have come at all. In other words, if you were the keeper, if you were the keeper of the non-physical gate, you would have said, clean it all up before she comes forth.
She doesn't need to see that.
She does. I don't want that, and I don't want that, and I don't want that, and I don't want... And what we want you to do is laugh about that and begin to accept that this magnificent spirit dived in with both feet into this contrasting experience, wanting the contrast which will help her to come to conclusions. And the more you attempt to protect her, the less understanding she has of contrast, and the less ability she ever discovers of her own to set her own tone so that she can selectively sift from the contrast of that which she is wanting. Though we have to say to you, we're going to give you a bunch of very blunt statements of things that we've observed in your physical educational system and environment. And we have to say to you that the creators in your environment that we have seen that have been the most successful, and by success we are talking about their relationship to joy, their relationship to fulfilling the purposes that they've set forth, even their relationship to magnificent dollars, have been those that have been touched least by the educational system. When you say, I want her to get a good education, we want to ask you what it is about that that you think will be the big benefit to her, because it isn't where the happiness is necessarily. It certainly is not where the big dollars are, and it's not where the huge success is. So what is this big thing about this educational system? It is equivalent to jail. It's a place where people go for a set amount of time and do a set amount of things under a set amount of rules. That's what it is.
Right.
And it is not the environment by which desires are born or encouraged or flourished. And so, in terms of that, if you are making your decisions based upon that, we wouldn't. In other words, and so if we were standing in your physical shoes and we were wanting to guide someone that we adored into the best possible environment, we would choose the most free-feeling environment. In other words, that would be our criteria. In which environment would she feel the most free? And under those conditions, we have to say to you that aside from a very few rare schools where freedom is their credo, where they are really wanting to let children discover their own desires and attract, and there are not many of those around, we would say what you would describe as the most substandard system where there is as little attention as possible placed upon your child would be the best environment.
Okay.
One where there's way too many kids for the teachers, where there's way too much to deal with, where the whole system sort of shut down and said, we can't deal with this, and those kids are free.
So when she's in that environment, I just got to go someplace and just act like I don't even know what's going on,
well,
basically?
we do not necessarily think that this environment... Now, let's talk about this environment where when you say you want her to get a good education, what kinds of things were you thinking about? Skills for computers, skills for language, skills for mathematics? What did you mean by good education? Did you want her to learn the Bible?
No. I mean, no, I don't mean to say no. I mean, yes, that is also a part that she needs to learn. I know that. I mean...
So what do you think? When you think in terms of freedom, what do you... and you think of this religious school, is that a place of greater or lesser freedom? In other words, are they working harder to control their every thought? Or are they allowing them to be free in their choosing? Where is there freedom there?
Well, see, in my opinion, no, there's not as much freedom. It feels like there's more control.
Well, you are right.
And I don't like that control process.
What we're getting at is if you can rid yourself of this guard posted at the gate where you're trying to protect her. And instead you will understand that she's a very wise being that's come forth into this sea of contrast, and that she will find her way very well. And you are a proponent of her sense of freedom rather than the protector. Which of the two would you choose?
Giving her sense of freedom and just kind of helping her along.
You see, what we're trying to say to you as we are coming at it from a lot of different directions, we really want you to hear that it does not matter what building she goes to or what offer of what curriculum is there. She is the attractor of her experience. And the freer she feels, the more likely to expand and excel she will be.
Okay.
And so, in other words, we would use joy as the meter. And so there is so little to worry about in the environment of school, and so much to be eager about.
Okay. I'll try it. I'll work on that. That's my belief problem here.
We have to say to you that, and this may surprise you very much, but we're going to speak it bluntly and boldly anyway. The violence that so many are worried about is more than 99% created by those who are pushing against those who are trying to thrust religion forward.
Okay.
When there is a pocket of people who are sure they are right, who amass together and establish an environment that says these are the rules and these are the boundaries, and we see you as the sinner, we see you as the inappropriate one, they literally evoke from those that they are condemning to the act that they condemn. People do not realize that it is in their worry and push against things they disapprove of that the things that they disapprove of flourish. You see.
Okay.
And so, if you will step back and say, I have a child who is pure positive energy, she has a guidance system within her, she is safe under all conditions, well-being is the predominant vibration within her, and I am a nurturer of that sense of well-being, then think in terms of what kinds of things might I say, and think in terms of the things that people say to you. Use your own guidance system. In other words, if someone says to you, you are inappropriate, you are a sinner, how do you feel? And what does that knot in your stomach tell you? It's telling you that whatever these words are that you're taking in are not a vibrational match to the source energy that would be there otherwise, because these words are literally blocking the energy that would be there otherwise, you see.
Okay.
And so you are very wise to understand that if it doesn't feel good, it is not beneficial.
See, and that's where I get caught. Part of it feels good, and I know that a lot of things I feed in
All
for
right.
her.
Now but you see, the thing that you think that part of it feels good from this school, and part of it feels good from this school, and part of it doesn't feel good from any school, but I have to face reality, Abraham, and I have to pick some school. And we say, we don't want you to work so hard in your physical pile. We want you to get into your vibrational pile. We want you to pick the best things in your mind from this school, and the best things from this school, and the best things from this school. And as you get hold of those sticks and vibrate, and get hold of those sticks and vibrate, and get hold of those sticks and vibrate, what happens, you see, the universe does not know why the vibration that you're offering is being offered. It only answers the vibration. So in the same way, in exactly the same way that the universe orchestrated this lovely rendezvous between three people in the Macaroni Grill in Chicago, the universe will orchestrate the perfect unfolding for you, provided you have found vibrational harmony with. So you say, well, from this school I like this, and from this school I like this. But you have to pick your way through the pile a little bit. Let's do this here. This is a very important thing that we do, not only for you, but for many others who may be listening. So, when you think about your daughter's education, just off the top of your head, what aspect of it seems most important? In other words, just ramble.
That she has freedom to experience, and freedom to do at her own pace, and freedom to learn what's out there, and someone that instills in her that desire to learn, to want to learn, to have fun learning, to just have joy in everything she does in the school classroom.
Jerry and Esther were visiting a while back with the founder of a school in Boston area, called Sudbury Valley School, where the premise of the school is no one learns anything unless it is their own personal desire to know it. You can't thrust information at people until there is and they've proven it to themselves by waiting for the child to ask to learn to read and then seeing the speed with which the child learns, or waiting until they want to know. They've discovered that the entire curriculum of mathematics can be learned in a matter of a few weeks rather than dragged out over 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years, you see. And so what the premise of the school is, when the desire is alive, then they will do what they can to provide the whatever the tools or whatever to satisfy the desire. As Jerry and Esther were visiting with this founder, he said to them, the children that he feels the most sympathy for, because many of the children come to his school when they are little, they enter school there, but some of them come many years later after they've been in other school systems. And he says those achievers who have been striving for acceptance and approval in the other schools flounder in his school because they are not self-starters. They do not know how to find their own desire. They just stand around and wait for someone to encourage them to do something, and then they wait for the remuneration or the stars on the chart in order to be motivated. Sure. They are accustomed to be motivated from the outside, where what he has discovered is it is only the motivation or inspiration that comes from the inside that is ever satisfying or very long-lasting. And so when you think, we heard you switch gears in the middle of your sentence here because
I deal with this subject a lot.
you are understanding this. What we're wanting you to understand is that many parents say, well, I want my child to be in a school where she is disciplined or where she is motivated. But the problem with that is right away, you run into trouble right away, because if they're trying to motivate her, then you want to make sure that their motives are the same as your motives might be. And it is very difficult to find any school that feels exactly the way that you feel about things, you see. And so what you're really looking for is an environment where her natural desire can be allowed to blossom. That's really what you're looking for. And what we want you to hear from us is that that can happen anywhere, that your work is just to let her know that it happens anywhere. Inspiration, we'll watch those who are writers or those who are musicians who will sit all day in some workshop that they've orchestrated. This is the studio where I write, they will say. And we will see them sit there all day, every day, and not one inspiration come through, because this is a place where they should do it. And then they'll be off kicking a volleyball and an idea will come into their head. Or they'll be driving down the freeway and the idea will come into their head. In other words, there are no places for this to happen. You have this, Esther said to us one day, Abraham, at the prompting of many others, wouldn't it be a fun thing, she's trying to encourage us, wouldn't it be a fun thing if we got together with a bunch of Abraham friends and we just stayed together like for a week or two in some wonderful retreat where we could actually simulate some life experiences and role play together in order to discover how to mold energy and flow energy and be the creators that we always are. Well, wouldn't you like to do that, she said. And we said, well, it sounds like a great deal of fun. In fact, it sounds just like life on planet Earth. In other words, you said, I would like to go forth and mix it up with lots of different people and have some experiences that would give birth to some desires. And once those desires are born, then my work is to bring myself into vibrational harmony with those desires, and the universe will yield to me big time whatever it is that I have concluded that I want. When we use the word determination, we want you to feel that determination means I have determined through my evaluation of contrast, and I have concluded that this is, in other words, I have honed my energy into this place of vibrational receiving, you see. Okay. And so there is no environment that is better than an environment of contrast. And so in that way, whether she is in the school where there are gangs, whether she is in the school where there is some violence, whether she is in the school where there are frustrated teachers and students, whether she is in the school where there are religious differences, even if she's in a school where there are predominant religious differences that are sort of thrust down her throat, it does not matter where she is. The only thing that matters is that she has discovered the way the vibrations feel as they move through her. And if you are teaching her to always look for the thought that feels best, then she will always be in vibrational harmony with source energy, and she will always be in the right place at the right time.
Okay. So don't worry so much about it.
If you wanted to do a fun survey, and we're not encouraging that you do this, but we want you to understand that there's not a shred of evidence anywhere to the contrary of what we are speaking here. Law of attraction never messes up. Everything always happens as perfect vibrational matches. What I think and what I feel and what I get are always a perfect vibrational match. So, if you would like to do a survey that would prove that to yourself, look up all of the incidences of violence. Get together with the people who knew those kids and discover what a huge percentage of martyrdom was in the vibration already.
Okay.
Martyrdom or a feeling of wanting to right the world, or a feeling of wanting to rid the world of something that was bad. In other words, in every single case, there is huge evidence of someone pushing against something in their belief that if they could just push hard enough, that then there would be an area where there would be purity. And we say it never works that way at all.
Okay.
Do not worry about this. How does it feel to come forth with this very important question and have someone say to you, it does not matter?
It helps.
All that matters is, now, so if we were talking to your daughter, we would have said much the same thing. We're not giving this guidance to you so that you can give it to her. In other words, we're not giving you words that you can give her that will affect her experience. We're giving you words because we want to soften your vibration so that you can allow the well-being. And she will do this. It is through the power of your example that you teach, you see.
Right.
If you wake up every morning and you fret about where she's going, and this is the basis of your question here, we know, you worry about it, you get all tense about it, then you know that you're using her experience as your excuse to close down, and you're no good to her or to yourself or to anybody else, you see.
Right.
And what you're wanting to do, if you are going to be nosy enough to stick your nose into her experience, that's a pretty strong word, isn't it? After all, you are her mother, but just the same, if you are nosy enough to stick your nose in her experience, for heaven's sakes, feel good while you've got your nose in there.
Okay. Enjoy having my nose in there, right?
Because there is nothing more detrimental to someone's experience than to have somebody that they care about with their nose in your business and not liking what they see.
Okay.
In other words, that's the thing that messes up more life experiences than all other things put together. You would be much better off if nobody noticed you than if you had a doting family worried about you, you see.
Mm-hmm.
What you're wanting to imbue your daughter with is your knowledge of her stability. In other words, when you say, oh, I'm worried about this, and I'm worried about this, and I'm worried about this, and I don't want to put you there for this reason, and I don't want to put you there for this reason, she begins feeling very fragile. She begins feeling very tentative. She begins feeling like she's not in a safe place. It begins to affect her mood. It begins to affect her point of attraction. Worry about your daughter. It affects everything about her. It begins to affect her mood. It affects her sense of well-being. It affects her, in other words, can you imagine, let's say that you're standing in a place, it's a new place, and downtown San Antonio or in any place, and you're standing there and you've never been there before, and people walk by, and as they walk by they look alarmed. In other words, pretend that you're standing in a place and people are walking by and they're looking up over your head, sort of like, oh, I hope that doesn't fall on her. or they're looking behind you like, oh my God, that's about to eat her. How does that doesn't feel very good, does it?
No.
In other words, and you're looking all around, you're wondering what most parents do to their children is they set up that sort of a minefield around their children. It's sort of like, there are bad things everywhere, and I will stand guard to make certain that if anything gets near you, I will warn you about it. And before you know it, they're cowering. They're not going boldly through life. Their mood is one of defensiveness, and their mood is one of justification, and their mood is one of vulnerability. They set up a vibration of resistance within them that blocks the well-being that would be there otherwise. Where if you've trained yourself to know that all is well, and you trust law of attraction, and you help your daughter to feel good most of the time, and you begin to train yourself and therefore teach through your example how to reach for the positive aspects and reach for the other end of the stick, before you know it, you begin to see evidence that well-being surrounds until it'll reach the point where you will say, I cannot remember the last time I even saw a traffic accident. I cannot remember the last time I even saw a close call. I cannot remember, no one ever takes anything from me. I cannot remember the last time anybody even dinged my door. It's like I live in this bubble of well-being, where well-being is all that can reach me, because that is the dominant vibration that I offer. And friends, we want you to understand, you don't have to work hard at this. You don't need to get 100% or 90% or 80% or 70% or even 60%. The well-being is so dominant in your experience, if you just halfway feel good most of the time, you'll live happily ever after. In other words, this is not a big thing. Really, it isn't. Look at the well-being that abounds. When we talk about this pile of 1,000 sticks and how you can sometimes, everything can be wonderful and you reach in and find that one stick that isn't and use it as your basis to not allow the well-being to flow, actually that proportion is nowhere close, because the energy of well-being is so huge in comparison with anything that you might find as your excuse to hold yourself apart from it. Just the fact that the sun came up this morning and is nurturing your planet in the way that it is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times more well-being than you could ever find if you looked for 100 years through all of the gutters and ghettos in your physical environment. You see? Okay. Your well-being is huge. And what we want to do is help you to give yourself the permission to no longer use these nitpicking, insignificant things that don't matter a lick at all as your excuse to stop the well-being from being there otherwise. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'll do that. Okay.
You're complete?
I'm complete.
That was great. That was really terrific. Didn't you think so?
Yes, I really did. And I'm not going to hurry. I'm going to hurry it out her.
I think that is very wise, my dear. And when we forget, let's just watch this again and again and again. If we forget, we probably won't, because it's emblazoned in our brain. Thank you, Abraham. That was tremendous. Toodaloo, everybody. For Poupée Theater, it's Karen and Alligator signing off.